but I'd rather make money, do interesting, big, important things than sit around having fucking date night. I don't want to sit there and hold hands and watch a movie. It's I don't want to hang out with girls.
How's that?
Because it's
But you're holding hands with a girl.
Yeah, but who hangs out with girls in high school?
In high school?
When you're in high school, you see a dude hang out with a bunch of girls. What is he?
Oh, well, I mean, there's gay guys that have a lot of girlfriends.
Right. So
wait. I wouldn't say watching a movie with a girl's gay, though.
No, the point I'm making is, heard this song? I'm like, bro, who gives a fuck? Like I've done too many bigger things. It's like a man who's been to war and then he comes back and they're like, do you want to watch this movie? He's like, not really. Like, I'm used to getting shot at. I don't give a shit about this movie. It doesn't matter anymore. So
at this moment in time, are you happy?
I wouldn't say I'm unhappy in any way. And I would say I'm happy, yes, but the whole idea of happiness in and of itself is skewed in the Western world, especially in the masculine frame, because there's so many men who are waking up complaining about the fact they're not happy, which is the strangest mindset I think a man can have. Because as a man, how happy you are has absolutely nothing to do with how you live your life and how you perform and what you need to do.
Something that my daddy told me a long time ago, that the life of a man is suffering. You have to be suffering at every single point. Of course, you can have moments where you can reflect on the things that are going on. People are there to extract resources from us, right? Man has his value based on what he can actually create for the world. You look at Michael Jordan when they won all 6 championships, when he took that break in the middle, when his dad died during the 3rd championship. The man was exhausted, completely tired, fatigued of the game, no longer in love with the game that he caught himself into at the start.
How happy you are is a pointless measurement, so why do you even measure it at all? I would argue that as long as you're not distraught, as long as someone you love didn't die that day, heaven forbid that happens often, let's say a couple of times a decade, besides those days, you should be happy enough to go to the gym and perform and make your money and do what you need to do. Who gives a shit if you're particularly smiley or not? I think it's quite binary. This whole idea of how happy am I is the easiest way for a man to destroy his life. If you're chasing happiness, you're only going to do hedonistic garbage and achieve absolutely nothing important. If you wake up and say, I don't care how happy I am, I want to be proud of myself, and I want to make other people proud of me, so I have to do all these things irregardless of how I feel, you're going to have a fantastic life. If you wake up and say, I want to be happy, you're going to chase silly hoes, drugs, and alcohol.
Well, that's temporary happiness, right?
But how else can you get instant happiness unless it's temporary? To get long-term happiness is something that's only going to come from dedication and hard work, which requires short-term suffering. It's just delayed. So if you're dedicating yourself and working hard for the future happiness, but especially considering the fact that most people are never happy with what they get and you always want more, your life just becomes hard work and dedication and struggle and suffering, and that's what you just exist within, and you don't operate under the paradigm of happy or sad. To me, it's quite binary. It's not a scale of how happy am I. It's just, has something terrible happened today? Am I distraught? No, then I'm happy. It's almost...
So it's an interesting outlook to look at it, because I think in the West, we really get caught up in this whole idea of like, oh, do what makes you happy, do follow your passion, do this and that, when it's like, I don't necessarily believe that that is always the case. Even though I'm creating content and following things that I'm interested in, there's still aspects of my day where I'm doing things that I don't actually want to do.
It's like, there's no such thing as cold, it's just an absence of heat. In space, there's no cold, there's just heat or there's no heat. Well, if there's no despair, heaven forbid a family member dies, if there's no despair, then there's only happiness left. I was happy in jail, I'm happy here, I'm happy in Romania, I'm happy if they arrest me again, I'm happy all the time, because unless something truly devastating happens, it's the only frame I operate under. But to me, happiness isn't the giddish, smiling, look at me, I'm happy. That's for children and women. And as a man, truthfully, you get your contentment. I wouldn't even say happiness, but you achieve your contentment through making others happy. I feel content when my children are happy. I feel content when I make my woman happy. I get more from giving than receiving. That's why Christmas is set up the way it is and dad never gets anything. We give, we go to work, we struggle, we make money, we suffer so others can be happy because of us. It's not our job to be happy ourselves. You show me a man who wakes up and says he wants to be happy himself, I'll show you a bitch. Because that's not what you're supposed to do. As a man, you're supposed to wake up and say, all right, my life might be shit. I'm going to suffer. I may be miserable, but every single person I love is going to be happy instead. So you live externally, you live through them, you give them the happiness.
So happiness is just a bonus.
Well,
because you can still take care of the wife and the kids and like be Jack and be happy.
Of course, you can be, but it's not the be all and end all of the masculine imperative. Truthfully, if I had to choose between being happy or being competent, if I had to choose between being me with my influence and my competency, but with all of my stress and headache, or being happy as a nobody sitting in the park doing mushrooms, staring at the clouds like a dumbass, I would choose to be me, clearly, because I did.
I think that was a really good point that he's saying there is, there's just an aspect here that I think the West is we're really messed up on that aspect, bro. Trying to be happy all the time, trying to like, oh, but happiness is fleeting, dude. It's only for a moment. You're not necessarily happy like the whole day, right? You're not going to be necessarily be happy all the time. There's going to be moments where you're like at least content. You can at least say, yo, I'm content today. This is good. This has been a productive day, X, Y, and Z, right? But to always be trying to be happy, if you're always going to try to be happy, bro, you might as well, just like you said, take some psychedelics. That's the only way you're really going to constantly be in that euphoria.